Okay, everyone, we are going to get started. I know there are still people signing in, but we're a little bit past 10 and we're going to get the ball rolling. So good morning. Happy summer. My name is Erica Morin, and I'm the manager of training and member services here at MSIC. We have a really exciting webinar today. We have Todd Romer with us, and during this session, he is going to teach us how credit unions can deliver relevant financial education to help attract and relate to a younger base. Todd Romer is a speaker, an author, a coach, and he is also the founder of Young Money University. Todd has been teaching thousands of individuals ages 18 through 29 across the US how to handle money differently to reach their goals and dreams and help them change their financial behavior. His speaking tour has been held on over 800 college campuses in 42 states. He also addresses and works with credit unions and other financial institutions to teach them how to engage and build loyalty with the sought-after millennial and Gen Z generations. Todd's book, Young Money, addresses all that he will be speaking about today, and a copy of that book will be mailed to everyone who is attending today's session. Young Money is being used on numerous college campuses and within credit unions across the country to supplement traditional personal finance teaching. Due to COVID-19, Todd, just like so many of us, changed his format to online, and he has been able to bring his program and his content to a much broader audience across the country, including us. At the conclusion of Todd's presentation today, we will have time for a Q&A. So feel free to send your questions via the Q&A or the chat box at any time. That's found at the lower right-hand corner of your screen. And we will get to each question when he wraps up. And now, Todd, we are delighted to have you here with us today. And with that, I am going to hand it over to you.
Thank you, Erica. That's a fantastic intro. I appreciate all that. I'm kind of out of the gate here. I'm going to tell you that this is not something that you think of, well, financial education. How can this be something where I can get members? How can this be something that can keep our members with us? I get pretty excited about speaking on this topic, and I actually get even more exhilarated when I teach other credit unions how to truly differentiate yourself from traditional banks that are out there, how you can really differentiate yourself from the common questions or information or feedback that I get everywhere I go from young people that say, well, I ask them, why do you bank where you bank? And you'd be shocked at the common response. One of the most common popular responses is, well, it's because they have ATMs in convenient locations. And I shake my head at that, because that is when they really drill down after that, they say, yeah, that's really not my reason. Actually, I don't know why I bank where I bank. And so I'm going to be sharing with you a very exciting platform that has enabled a lot of credit unions around the country to acquire new younger members. And I know that's a massive deal, right, to do that and bring that median age down. So I'm thrilled to be here, excited to be here. And so here we go. This is how it all started. That is not me. I will be very candid. I don't have a picture or of me from way back when I started to cut grass. I'm from Dayton, Ohio. That's where I grew up. I went to University of Dayton. I'm a Flyer, for those who follow college basketball. And I started to cut grass. I was the youngest of 7. And maybe some of you can relate to this story. My dad basically said to me when I was, 13, 14, you need to get a job at 16. Just know that's when you need to get a job. And I said, okay. And I bucked that trend in our family, and I started to cut grass at age 14 in the neighborhood. And I guess I was doing as good, a decent of enough job that I was asked by other neighbors, hey, can you cut my grass? And I was making, by the time I was a senior in high school, I was making $3,000 in a summer. That was a lot of money back then in the late 80s. And then I was making $5 to $7 grand a summer during college years. And so at that time, my father said, well, what are you doing with that money? And I said, I don't know, it's in the bank. And most of you can remember 6 to 8% returns on interest and savings accounts, right? And I started to invest this money. And so this is really where it all starts with my background. This was a magazine that I started many years ago, 1999, in fact, where we had the celebrities, personalities like Mark Cuban, who owns the Dallas Mavericks and, of course, is on Shark Tank. We had Danica Patrick, and we had a lot of fun with this magazine, but we didn't know if we were changing lives on college campuses. This was distributed around the country as a free magazine. And then we decided, well, let's see if people really like what we're doing. So we went to 4 major college campuses and realized that, yeah, they did. They had so many questions about money. Doesn't matter where we went, whether it was a 2-year community college, a 4-year public institution like Ohio State, I live in Cincinnati now, or it doesn't matter. Boston University, by the way, I spoke there. It doesn't matter where we went. Even we went to Georgetown University, and I thought my content was going to be, we're good. We're coming from wealthy families. We know how to manage money. When we went to Georgetown, doesn't matter where we went, private universities, we had young people going, wait a minute. What you're speaking about is completely different than what I was taught or not taught at home, or what I was not taught in high school, or certainly not being taught in most colleges and universities. So we had the speaking tour, which was a lot of fun, and it continues. That's part of that is definitely going on today. So, and this is a copy, as Erica mentioned, of my updated version of Young Money, Do Money Differently, a powerful 5-step plan. And so we're going to get into the statistics, if you will, or the current story of 18 to 29-year-olds. 54%, I mean, that's a large number, not having anyone to trust for financial information. Almost half say they don't receive money advice from parents. A lot receive, 36%, financial support from parents. Maybe you have children that you're still giving support to, and that's fine. That's just the reality, though. And then almost 2/3 say that financial stress is overtaking their ability to focus and be productive at work. This is pre-pandemic. This is going to be the case currently, and then certainly post-pandemic. It's not changing. This is where they're at. Look at this page here, this piece on investing, which is the #1 area of interest, by the way, of young people everywhere we go that I've spoken to, tens of thousands around the country. 3 out of 4 say they know little or nothing about how to invest. Nearly half say, hey, a savings account, I think that's how I need to get to retirement. I'll be fine. I mean, you know that, what, 0.0123%. So half of them think just putting money in a savings account is where it's at. I mean, that's nuts, right? It's not their fault. It's just they don't know what they don't know. And only 17% believe that the stock market is the best way to grow their money. That's pretty wild information. So knowing that, where millennials, Gen Z are coming from, the opportunity for your credit union is massive. It's huge. So half of them indicate they're open to switching banks. I mean, that's a crazy number, right? 68% report they don't feel understood by their bank. And so there is an absolute natural alignment between the value of millennials and Gen Z and what you can give to them as credit unions. No question about it. Well, now that you have that background on what the general 18 to 29-year-old person is thinking and their story, this is the current story of financial education. Many of you are likely doing as great a job as you can delivering financial education in your markets, so I applaud you for that. But I would believe, if I saw all your hands to be raised, that you would have to say, yeah, our current education system in the US does not teach us how to manage our money or to create wealth. And that has to be super frustrating for anybody on this webinar. I mean, we're not talking millions anymore. We're not even talking tens of millions anymore. We're now into the billions of dollars that have been spent the last 20 years on traditional financial education. And here's what's happening. If you can see my two fingers, they're very close together. Hardly any behavioral change from all of that investment. Why? Because the second bullet point tells it all. Because traditional financial education stinks. It just does. It's not an assault on anybody. That's because that company or that organization or nonprofit or the government's to blame or whoever. No, it's not creating behavioral change. And it's what this young market wants from somebody, because they're not getting it generally from home. They're finding out how to do things a little by a little, but they're also saying, and I get this everywhere I go. Look at the third bullet point. Talking about credit scores is all the rage, it seems like, for some traditional financial education, but far from the answer. And there's nothing wrong with talking about credit scores and how it's important to have a good one, but that's not really getting to where they want to be. They want to ultimately be financially successful. Last bullet point. So I've been able to talk to and work with a number of individual credit unions on partnerships around the country. And the first thing I tell them, as I'll tell you, you want to move from saying these two words at the bottom, financial literacy. Move it to financial success in all of your communication. For years and years, and still to this day, credit unions say, gosh, and we're talking now pre-pandemic, and it's going to probably be the case post-pandemic. They'll say, Todd, we've had in our community, we would have a workshop, and we would go on to this campus, or we would have one in the credit union branch, or we'd go to this company and have an employer-based financial literacy seminar or a workshop, and only 3 or 4 people at the most, maybe 7, show up. And I tell them, it's because you said financial literacy workshop. Those two words are packed with some bad connotation, perceptions. One, I'm not smart, so I'm illiterate with money. 2, financial literacy, workshop sounds like a job, sounds like work. And number 3, that doesn't even sound fun. And so that's why there's limited amount of people that show up to financial literacy events or workshops. So move all communication going forward in your branches, in the community, social media, any type of marketing that you're doing in the community, move it to financial success. Why? Because we are all humanly wired to be successful at something. And it will change quite a bit and intrigue those you're trying to reach. So then how do you as credit unions gain trust and provide what you need to younger generations? Well, it all begins with this. Get to know their why, and then tell them what to do. Get to know their why and tell them what to do. So college campuses represent an ideal place to appeal to 18 to 27-year-olds. If you don't have access to a 2-year community college, a technical school campus, 4-year school, traditional, that's okay too. But you're going to be able to look at this age group differently, even as they come into the branch, even as you communicate with their parents who are members, to basically have a shift And hey, do you know this is what we're doing now to appeal to your children? If they don't have an account with us, we're going to help them get to where they want to go. And I'll be mentioning how to do that in a little bit here. But you need to know why. Why do they ultimately want to be financially successful? That's the key to this literal presentation here on how to reach a younger demographic. Try to get to know, why does an 18-year-old, ask them as they come in, if you have any interaction, this is who we are. We're a credit union. We're here to help you reach your goals and dreams. For example, I just had a conversation yesterday with the 12th largest credit union in the country in Utah, Mountain America. We've been working with them for 6, maybe 7 years in a row. I can't even tell you how many new accounts that we've helped them establish. Thousands, tens of thousands, probably in the last several years, easily. And what they talk about is how they're changing their communication in the branch in general, wanting to know with any member, hey, you've been with us for 15 years or 20 years, or you're a brand new member. We'd love to just know why. Why do you ultimately want to be financially successful? You'll hear stories upon stories. And so you're slowly changing your value position as a credit union because you want to help them truly get to where they want to go. And you'll find all kinds of whys. I'm sure you will attest from, hey, you know what? I just actually want to have a small cabin to retire to on a lake in 15 years and whatever lake. Or actually, I'm trying to get to a point where I can actually start my own business. A young person might say, well, to be honest with you, Mr. or Mrs. Credit union person, I love my parents. I just want to do money differently than them. Boy, do we get a lot of that. So the last step, the last piece, beyond offering financial success programs and workshops and content, remember that those two words, financial success, and all your communication is key. But young people lean on their peers, rather, the last bullet point, for financial guidance too, because they have no idea where to get it these days. So word travels fast, like Reddit on social and other social media. If you can appeal to them in that way, and I'll show you how to do that with kind of getting to their heart, mind, and soul in a moment, that's where you want to start digging into their heart of ultimately, why do you want to be financially successful? But here's obviously the real story. I showed you the kind of what's happening within the 18 and 29-year-olds. But when I've been able to interact and listen, ask questions of 18 to 29-year-olds, we're talking tens of thousands of them now around the country, from all backgrounds, all races, this is what the reality is, their real story. They're not any different than any human being. Even like us, they have aspirations, yet many are afraid of their future. As I speak live, obviously, at many credit union league association and events around the country, pre-pandemic live, whether it's 200 or 20, I get hands up all the time. When you were 19 or 20 or 23, did you want to have things yesterday? Many people would say, yeah, wanted to have things done yesterday. Maybe I was a little entitled back then. So that word entitlement's kind of coming out with these young people today, right? That they want to have things nice tomorrow. So they're not that different than us when we were young. So just keep that in mind. The other thing that I just wanted to mention, because it just came into me right now, into my head, is I want you to be aware of the fact that social media, and all of you know this is the only thing that's quite different, our phones for those young people, they have a tendency now, because everything is happening so fast, that they want to be successful like in the next 3 to 5 years. They think because of what they see on social media that they've got to be, man, I don't know if I'm as successful as others I see. And I tell them, I go, time out. Where in the world are you getting in your head that you've got to be successful by age 30? So there's this pressure that the world's putting on them. And when I tell them it's okay to let that pressure go because that's unrealistic. And so you're kind of getting into their heart and their mind by saying, thank you for giving me permission to breathe. Thank you for giving me permission to not have this pressure that I've got to be successful in 5 years. And so again, it's all about understanding their why, getting to know their personal why they want to be financially successful. The third bullet point I just mentioned a moment ago, they love their parents, and I have about 50% of young people, live presentations, Zooming, whatever I've done, that raise their hand and say, yeah, I love my parents. I just want to do money differently than them. I want to manage it differently because there was a lot of stress growing up in our home. In fact, we have a lot of young people teaching what I'll teach you in the next 25 minutes or 30 minutes, how to do money differently. They're teaching their parents how to do this, which is a lot of fun. So the final bullet point of the real story of young people is they simply want to know how to save, spend, and invest their money better. So they're going to get their why, but they're like, how do I do this? How do I have more control? I feel financial pressure. I'm not terrible at saving, or maybe I'm saving it the wrong way, or I'm certainly spending it kind of all over the place. And they definitely want to know how to invest. That is a massive interest. And so you're a absolute conduit for them to learn that too. So what can you do to help? Well, teach them a new way to think about money when it comes to saving, spending, and investing their money. And I'll tell you that in a moment. And become a trusted money coach. I repeat, a trusted. And when you build trust, you do that by simple relationships where you're hitting their hot buttons, those words, financial success. They want to be successful financially. They want to have X, Y, or Z. They want to have financial security. They want to have a time where they can go, wait a minute, I do want to travel. I do want to do this, but right now I don't know who to listen to. And so you can deliver them a real plan of action to bring them closer to believing, keyword, believing that they can reach their goals and dreams. And that's really who you need to be. You're going to be their money coach, not their credit union that they take money out with the ATM. And that's that traditional, why do you bank with Wells Fargo? Why do you bank with JP Morgan Chase or B of A? Those answers I get is because they had branches nearby. They have an ATM nearby. That's it. Yeah. Otherwise, yeah, I'm paying these monthly fees, but I thought that's just part of normal. I thought that was the cost of doing business with B of A or Wells Fargo. Really? And so when you drill down, they go, yeah, why am I banking here again? And so that's what we're getting at here today. All right. So here's where we're going to go. I'm going to teach you literally how I've been teaching credit unions around the country, how I've been teaching literally tens of thousands, almost hundreds of thousands of young people now, actually it is hundreds, to actually look at how they do money differently through a 5-step plan. As you know, you're a human just like me. If someone can tell me, hey, here's a 5-step system or a 3-step plan or whatever it is to lose weight, to do this differently, or I'm going to teach you 5 steps to actually learn about taking care of your car because you want to learn how to take care of your car, whatever it is, give me a step system. Give me step 1. And as my wife would share, whenever we put something together like a new grill or a new whatever, I am not engineering. I don't have a strong engineering mind. She does. And then when I look at the directions to put a grill together on the deck, I go, sweet, it has step 1, take off the cellophane, take off the things out of the box. I'm like, okay. And step 2, all right, attach this to this. I like that. We like step systems. And so I'm going to teach you a step system for teaching your members. By the way, if they're 40, 50, 30, doesn't matter, 60, they can start actually doing money this way. You can start implementing some of this with all of your members, but it will bring and shed light on young people going, wait a minute, this credit union is kind of different. Okay, I want to make sure I get the basics out of the way. Hey, I can get a checking account with you, right? I mean, it's amazing, right? Young people are still trying to figure out the difference between a credit union and bank. And you know that. That's an ongoing education. Yep, they got checking accounts. Yep, we got savings accounts. Yep, we got credit cards. We got debit cards. Yep, we can give you a car loan. Oh, car loan? Yeah, I did hear. My aunt said that you guys give the lowest car loans in the country. You know, you've heard that for years, right? Credit union is the best place to get a lower rate on a car loan. Well, you're gonna give them so much more than that. Once they go, all right, they have the basics. Now you're gonna actually help me get to where I want to go. You're gonna help me realize my dreams. You mean actually you want to know what my dreams are? All right, fine. I've never shared this with anybody, but yeah, thank you, Mr. or Mrs. Credit Union. That's awesome. So here's where you're gonna go. You're going to walk them through a step system. The first step of them all is what really brings them in. You're going to be like, yeah, they're going to go, why does this credit union, why does this branch manager, why does this person in the branch, why does even on social media, they're really they're not a bank, they're not a traditional credit union, they're like my trusted money coach. They're actually asking me to dream, which I do, and I haven't shared my dreams. So again, bullet point number 1, decide to dream by creating a personal why. You're going to encourage your current employees at your credit union to follow this plan. This has been happening. It's just fun. It's just because it's so fresh. Mountain America Credit Union had me speak to 190 employees before the pandemic. And the response from all age groups was like, this is awesome. And it's not about Todd Roomer. I share how to do money differently because I'm tired of the wheels spinning in this country of young people who are being delivered below average financial education. And when you get to someone's heart about money and their dreams, game over. You've got them. So once you know, the second bullet point, once you know why someone wants to be financially successful, they become locked in to follow a new money system from someone that's very trusted. And that's you, your credit union. I repeat, once you know why someone wants to be financially successful, you got into their like side door of their heart, like, wait, in their mind. All right, I just shared. All right. You'll be amazed at all the different whys that you hear that are out there. Some really fun whys. Some people are going to say, you know what? Having a great house is awesome. That's not really my big thing. Or having a really cool car to drive is not my thing. Some people it is. But you might find that someone at your branch, a 24-year-old, a 22-year-old, of a parent that is a member, finds out that, you know what, I want to have more purpose. I want to actually start a nonprofit someday, but I still want to be able to eat every month and do some cool things to help and impact other people. I hear it all around the country. Young people want to do some pretty cool things in their life and not just have that entitlement badge that some people put on them. So finally, their last bullet point here, when you start showcasing and understanding and starting talking about financial success and their personal dreams, they become a little bit more believable. And that's what you're getting to, helping them achieve short-term goals, mid-term goals, ultimate long-term dreams. So that's step 1, dream differently. Step 2, by the way, you've noticed in step 1, it has nothing to do with money, right? I never teach money in step 1. In my very strong, humble opinion, It's what differentiates a lot of traditional financial education from what I teach. You've got to get their engine going. You got to get their brain firing on all cylinders. Like, yeah, I'm going to actually release my dreams. I'm going to tell somebody my dreams and my why. That's what you're trying to get to. Step 2, now we get into money, which is really kind of fun because they realize, wait, what? Your credit union can do this? Oh, okay. And you're telling me I need to save money differently? How do you save money differently? I thought you just get a savings account. And when I go through the step, eyes get really big. So I tell them the first bullet point, just like you can. The majority of young Americans, and really even Americans of a lot of all ages, save money the wrong way by having a single savings account. Yes, a single savings account is not the way to go. I share with them, just like you can share with them, that having a single savings account, that causes money anxiety. That causes money stress. Because when you have all your money in an account called savings, it vies for your attention, right? You've got $500 in an account, I tell them, or let's say you have $1,500, or maybe you have $4,000 after a summer of working in your savings account. But it kind of starts to become even more stressful because you're like, wait a minute, let me see, 1,000 is going to go to maybe a down payment on a used car, or that's going to go to new clothes, that's going to go for tuition. All of a sudden they're like, oh no, where's everything going to go? And it's real easy for them to spend money on a whim when they have one account called savings, because they look at their nice cushion that they built up maybe, and they think, oh, I'll just spend some money here and spend some money here. And the next thing you know, 2 months down the road, they're like, whoa, my 3,000 just turned into 1,800 because they spent it on a whim. So bullet point number 2, and save money differently, I teach a new way to save by creating digital envelopes of cash. You can do the same thing. Named savings accounts for their near-term needs and their what they value expenses. I repeat, for their near-term needs. What does that mean? Well, clothing, they need that. Let's see, car insurance, if they have a car, they need that. Cell phone bill, food, if they're on their own, if they're all those basic necessities, you need to have a savings account for some of those things. For some extent, that'll stay in their checking account. But then, what you value expenses. What you value expenses. This is a component of how to save money differently. So let's take Sarah, who's 24 years old, and you find out, or you start talking about this in your marketing, like maybe you have a hobby of photography, or maybe you like to travel. Well, create these multiple name savings accounts with our credit union called sub-accounts, right? You teach them that you've got these, we can have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, up to 10, up to 20, all with no minimum. Or $5, right? Some of you only need to have $5 into your savings account, these multiple named accounts. This is a massive deal. When you show them that, yay, our credit union, you can have up to 10 accounts or 15 savings accounts that you can put nicknames to that line up with your life, they go, really? Wow. And then they find out at Wells or B of A or Chase that you have to have $200 minimum balance into the second, third, or fourth, and they're like, well, wait a minute, that's kind of crazy. And I tell them, yeah, it is. It's kind of foolish. So I don't knock any big branded bank. I just tell them the facts. And so to check out your local credit union, they have this ability to create these digital envelopes of named money. And so they then realize that you don't save money in these savings accounts to create wealth, last bullet point. You're not creating wealth in your savings accounts. You teach them, no, it's for your near-term needs, which you all have. You create a savings account called car maintenance, for example. Here are some examples. Well, that doesn't sound too exciting. A savings account called car maintenance or car repair, top right. You tell them, well, let me tell you how sexy a car repair savings account can be. Over time, they start to laugh, and when I speak live about this, because they like, wait, I love the travel savings account, and the second one on the left, yeah, I'm going to create an account called travel because I want to travel. Clothes and shoes, yeah, I want to have a savings account called clothes and shoes. And then I get to the car repair. I say, how many of you have a car that you're responsible for? And they raise their hand. And I say, how many of you have had that fun phone call from the mechanic that says, yeah, Julie or Tim, after parts and labor, you're like, oh, I hate that. With parts and labor, you're just waiting for that dollar figure to come out on the phone. And with parts and labor, it's going to be $1,350. Then you hang up the phone, you're like, oh man, that's terrible. I said, well, if you're saving, say $50, $60 a month in your monthly spending plan or budget, and you have an account called car repair, and you're automatically, we teach automation in step 2, you're automatically transferring $60 a month into your boring account called car repair. I said, tell me how boring it is in 18 months when not if it will happen, it's when. And then when you do have an issue with new air conditioning unit in your car or something else happen, new tires, whatever, and then that you get that call from the mechanic that says, yeah, it's going to be $1,350. I tell them they're going to look on their phone, which I'm holding up, which is their credit union branch. Their mobile branch is right here. They're going to look at and go, wait a minute, I've got $1,400 in there. I've been saving automatically because my credit union taught me this is how you're going to deal with life and reduce stress. They're like, sweet, I love my credit union for telling me how to save money differently for what's going to already happen down the road. They're going to be like, okay, now this account is equally sexy as my travel savings account. I'm serious. That's what they're going to say. They're going to like, thank you. They're going to be even keel. In all reality, they're going to be even keel because they're going to say, all right, I've been saving money differently. This repair happened. I got this idea from my credit union. This is my digital envelope from the credit union. I don't even look at until I have a car issue. So automation is what you want to teach in step 2. Automate your savings for life happens stuff like your car, like clothes, like an emergency fund, education, save for a new car, gifts or birthdays, all the things that are listed there, and many, many more that somebody wants to do. Like photography could be one of their hobbies that they create a savings account for. So that's what's kind of fun, being able to do that. Step 3, so we're already been through step 1 and step 2. Step 1 is, again, dream differently, teach how to dream differently. Step 2, teach them how to save money differently using your credit union name savings accounts. Now we're going to move into step 3. You can teach your members, you can teach out in the community, you can teach throughout social media as you talk about these steps in financial success, how to spend it differently. Because a lot of young people are trying to figure out, man, how do I spend my money differently? Because I am out of control. So this one's a pretty simple step, yet I want to bring some caution. It's kind of how we articulate and using words, just like financial literacy. You want to move away from those 2 words, financial literacy, and replace them with financial success. So the first bullet point says create a zero-based monthly spending plan or budget. That's really what it is. By matching up everything that they earn per month, if that's $1,000 a month, if it's $2,500 a month that they earn, then it has to be aligned with an expense before the month starts. I repeat, before the month starts. You want to teach them, hey, I'm going to teach you how to do a different budget. And I said the B word. A lot of people, young people, don't like that word budget. Some do, but half of them don't. So you can replace it with words like monthly spending plan or monthly cash flow plan, how your cash flows. You can put in, yeah, it's just like a budget, but let's call it a spending plan. Let's call it your cash flow plan, how it moves throughout the month. But it's super important, that zero-based monthly spending plan, where you tell them before the month starts. So we're coming up on July, right? If I was speaking live, if you were speaking live or in your social media, as you start to hopefully bring this type of financial success education to your market to attract younger members, you want to start saying things like, hey, July's coming up. Make sure you create your monthly spending plan. Make sure each dollar is assigned a job to some kind of expense. Your rent, your mortgage, your car payment, car insurance, cell phone bill. You just kind of give those and make sure you have everything down to zero before the month starts. So you already in July, when July 1 starts, they know where their money's going. They know exactly where their money's going. So that gives them more control that they want. And that's what step 3 is all about. Bullet point 2, real quick. This can help them negate emotional spending because they have a plan. And a high percentage of young people talk about, yeah, I spend emotionally. Well, welcome to the human race, right? Sometimes we use that as an outlet when we're having a bad day or a bad week or something happened, we go spend. Some people just go to the mall and spend to make themselves feel better. Not that that's wrong or bad or et cetera, but they know it. But if they're have advanced knowledge of where their money's going to go before the month starts that you've taught them, then they're going to have a little more, a better feeling about your credit union again, because you're teaching them how to have more control and be less emotional with spending. So finally, on step 3, the last bullet point, including what you value expenses and your investment account as a new monthly expense. A new monthly expense. That's going to be a very big deal because we don't want it just to be only about life stuff, our rent, all our bills, all of our traditional bills every month. You want to sneak in there, hey, if you've got a personal hobby, whether it's snow skiing, whatever it is, hiking, you want new hiking boots or travel or whatever it is, then make that a savings account with us. Create a savings account with our credit union. Photography, travel, whatever, outdoor. And what's fun is that they're looking for convenience. This age group just wants convenience, the ability to conveniently set this money system up with your credit union through your mobile banking. I mean, that's really, if you can bring this all together with your credit union with convenience and mobile banking, hey, we've got you covered. With that second account, savings account, third, fourth, fifth savings account, we got you covered here at our credit union. So you can name them, put those nicknames to them. All right, step 4, this is the crazy step, the crazy good step. Ready? Now you're really going to get involved in their why and get involved in step 1 of their dreaming. When you start teaching the basics of investing, whoo, you're going to get some intrigue. You're going to get some, tell me more, please. Tell me more. So invest money differently. Step 4. It's the number 1 question I get everywhere I go on my speaking tour from 18 to 29-year-olds, all backgrounds, all races, it doesn't matter. They say, hey, I want to learn about investing, but it's scary. It sounds scary to me. Yep, that's the first reaction you get, right? It sounds intimidating. It sounds overwhelming. If you, Mr. Credit Union, you, Mrs. Credit Union, can help me learn about just investing so that I feel safe, then that's awesome. Please do. So I teach, and you can do the same. I believe 99.9% of you will say automatic monthly investing in solid stock mutual funds or ETFs. Well, it has created wealth over time, and history has proved it decade after decade after decade, and actually now over a century worth of data, 130 years now, has shown that the U.S. stock market has provided significant wealth for people who simply invested monthly and didn't think about it. That's how wealth is created traditionally in this country. There's other ways now to supplement that, but you can't get away from this simple, possible, absolutely anybody can now, ability to earn money through earning money on earning money, interest upon interest, wealth creation through owning solid stocks over time. And this is what's fun. Second bullet point talks about something that wasn't available to me and likely many of you many years ago when you were young. The game is changing for young investors through low cost options and hardly any minimums to start now. Is anybody, and you can ask questions or say something later on chat, if you're familiar with Acorns, the micro investing platform. That is massive technology that came about 6 years ago. That's helping anybody of any age dip their toe in the water to own solid ETFs of companies that they do business with every single day. I get so much enthusiasm, and so will you, when you start talking about investing and how to go about it and showing them how money can really create ridiculous wealth in the short, medium, and long term. The third bullet point, credit unions can guide young people to ultimately jump on this train, the compound interest train to wealth. And that's really where it gets fun. I mentioned the bottom bullet point, Acorns micro investing platform. Highly recommend that you talk about that as a way to dip their toe in the water. Eventually, as they get more in a career, as they start to get married and have other things, they're going to look at your credit union as a way to say, wait, I need to learn more about maybe an IRA or other ways to invest, and can you help me? In addition to the Acorns way to start dipping my toe in the water. So Acorns is an awesome platform where you can round up your spare change when you use your debit card. It's a massive interest from this age group. Like, wait a minute, this is cool. And my credit union told me about it. So we then go through this, and you could do the same thing through social media, through local or virtual workshops, or within your credit union. You talk about this scenario of how investing truly works. And again, getting into those, talking about convenience of starting to invest conveniently, mobile banking, how this can help them. You talk about Joe the investor, Sarah the investor. Joe starts at 26. He begins investing $150 a month up to his 61st birthday. You just reiterate this. And it doesn't matter if it's $150. It's just start with $10 a month. Who cares? But this gives them that belief that they don't have to be super smart. I want to quickly talk to you about this and how young people are thinking. They think, oh man, I got to be super smart to be successful with money or to be an investor. No, you don't. Man, I had to have come from a smart family or a wealthy family. No, you don't. I've got to be able to, I don't know, I think I have a fear of failure. We'd actually talk about that in step one, more in a drill down, how those things stop us from believing and dreaming. Fear of failure, thinking I'm not too smart. No, you just obliterate those lies to this young market and say, hey, look at this. Look at Joe. He starts at he starts at $150 a month. His yearly investment, bullet point 2 under Joe, is $1,800 a year. And at the age of 65, his total investment ends up at $1.7 million and change at age 65. They go, what? You're kidding me? He invested over well under 100 grand, and he's got 1.7 million. Yep, using 12% annual rate of return is what we're using, which is with dividends, is running just about that right now. So that's pretty accurate. If you add dividends in the last 50 years, you're running at about the S&P 500 with dividends, you're looking at about 11.5, almost 12% per year. They go, what? I said, yeah, hey, did you have to do anything? Did you have to go additionally get a second job or a third job? No. Your money is working with money. Your money is making money upon money. That's how the wealthy create their nest egg. It's not because they're smarter than you. It's because they actually started. And then it gets crazier with Sarah at the bottom. You can teach them about Sarah, who starts even younger at age 18. She invests the same as Joe, but she stops at age 25. You go through these scenarios, through social media, little inputs, through your communication, even through email to your members, anything. You just want to create this new financial success education program at your credit union to go, wait a minute, they're actually teaching money differently there. All right, I'm going to get my son involved. I'm going to start talking. This is how it starts to steamroll. And you saw Sarah, to complete the Sarah example, she does the same thing as Joe, but she stops at age 25. She only invested $14,400, second bullet point under Sarah. She stopped at 25. And they are amazed at why Sarah ends up with $2.2 million. That's almost 500 grand more than Joe, when she invested nearly 5 times less. They go, how does that happen? How can Joe have less money when he invested all the way through age 65 and Sarah stopped at 25? You then simply teach them. This is the power, the crazy power that Albert Einstein called compound interest. And it's the 8th wonder of the world is what he called it. So this is the kind of content that you want to get out to your members, get out into the community, teaching them about investing, wealth creation, step 4. Finally, step 5, which is kind of a fun component, hits the heart, mind, and soul too, is expand your personal why by including how you want to impact others. You can get to their why more. Hey, now that you're creating wealth, we're helping you do money differently. We want to bring more meaning and purpose to your life. And that's not to mention more fun and joy that they're going to have. So you're teaching them, hey, include your why to maybe impact the lives of others, your cousins that you know are struggling, or other extended family members, or your parents. You can actually help them. Or people you've heard about on Facebook and in the social media that actually have gone through tough times. How fun is that? I mean, you don't put it in their face. You just say, hey, this is what we're teaching here at this credit union, how to do money differently. To dream, save, spend, invest, and give money differently. So that is the end of my presentation. Would love to take questions or comments. This is how you can also reach me as well and learn more about what we do.
Todd, thank you so much. We do actually have some questions, so we're just going to roll right into them.
Great.
Okay. First question. What makes the millennial and Gen Z generation so different than those that came before them in terms of financial knowledge and capabilities?
Surprisingly, they aren't that different. We just happen to hear stories of them just not doing money well. They're just not, even though they have this and they're walking around with their phone all the time, they're still not getting the basics. They're still opening an account called savings and just having a savings account. They got a checking account. They got their ATM card, their debit card, and the only difference right now actually is just that they want to learn how to invest too. They're trying to figure out, oh, I know I should be doing this, but I'm scared and nobody is still teaching me. And so that's the thing. We can't put them in this complete separate bucket like, oh, they're so different than I was, or baby boomers. They have that basic fundamental desire like any one of us did when we were young, and that is, I have a dream, I'm dreaming, and I don't know how to get there. So just make sure that that's really key for what you do, is to hone in on their why and their dreams, and then teach them how to save, spend, and invest money differently.
Okay, so I'm just jumping around with the questions that came in. This one seems to be a good follow-up to that. So how basic do these lessons in financial success get? As coaches, are we starting from the basics, like what's debt? What are interest rates? Where do we begin?
So you begin with first getting into their heart and their mind. So I know this sounds like I'm saying it over and over again, but before you even talk about debt, because when you start, if you just go straight into debt and credit scores and loans and all that, they're just going to go, oh, that's that boring stuff. That sounds like work, and I'm not really money guy or money gal. And so you kind of want to bring that in later. You want to get them dreaming first, getting to know what their dreams, their short-term dreams are. If it is, one of them could be, hey, I just want to get out of debt. Okay, at least that's a dream. And then you start moving into, hey, I'm going to teach you how to eliminate debt. I'm going to teach you the debt snowball on how to eliminate some debt and how to increase your credit score. But you always want to take it back to their why. Their why. Why are they even managing money? Why are they even working with you as a credit union? Or why are they even thinking about maybe joining your credit union? Does that make sense?
Yes. Yep, it absolutely does. Okay, a couple more just came in. What are the specific financial concerns you hear from the younger college market?
They're stressed with how they spend money, that it goes fast. They use Venmo fast. They spend money with other friends and they send it back and forth and it's gone. And I'm not using this as the cop-out because cash is so used very little. And we know that whole philosophy, if it's cash and they see it going out, then they may stop spending it. But they're just overwhelmed with the digital world. Well, while it's great and convenient that you can offer them, they need to know how to manage that digital money world better. And they need someone to help them. And so when you teach them how to save it into these multiple accounts that you have, these sub accounts that you put names on, then they can start reducing that stress. So the biggest thing to answer again is that they're stressed on, even if it's $1,000 they make a month or $2,000, it doesn't matter the dollar amount. They're just stressed on, how do I manage it better? How do I control it?
So Todd, give me 1 minute. One of our attendees asked to be unmuted so they could ask you a question. So just give me 1 second while I find him.
Yeah.
While I'm scrolling down, just give me a second. Hold on, Jim. I'm just looking for you. Gotcha. Okay, Jim, you're unmuted.
Thank you, Eric. Todd, hi, Jim McCorkle from Common Trust Federal Credit Union. Thank you very much for doing this presentation this morning. I am so much in agreement with you. I would go as far as to say that I believe that all children must pass some type of financial success, your word, or financial literacy before they are allowed to graduate high school. I think it's that important in this day and age, and I just don't see it. And in my situation, I see young people coming in here after graduating college, and they've already made a mess financially of their lives, and they don't understand the ramifications and the time it's going to take to fix some of those things. And you talk about the savings and things like that. My question to you is, and I know this is kind of geared, or you talk more about, the college age kids. What's your thought on reaching these kids at a younger age? And the reason, I'll give you a little background to my question.
Yeah.
We teach a financial literacy, my word, class to the middle schools here in Woburn. We teach them, about the different terms and savings and lending and things like that. And then we go into a real life exercise where we ask them all to complete a business plan, and we ask them all to complete a job application. And then we usually pick two to do, one to be a credit union person, one to be a bill collector, and then the rest of them to run a business during that period in school where they create something. And again, they can't just bring in a box of pens. They have to do something with the pens to make it look like they've done something with it.
Yeah.
And then they sell their products or services. And for instance, one of the classes 2 years ago, because we couldn't do it last year, the girls did nails, paint fingernails in the class and stuff. Yeah. And then they have to pay rent and so on and so forth. And they have to pay for the good of service. And they have to keep track in their checkbook. And we take the checkbooks every week and we balance them to make sure that they're appropriately done. Mm-hmm. And at the end, we do an auction. I get 50, 60, 70 different items from donations and other things, and the board chips in. And we run an auction, and we teach them, we kind of close it up. I kind of teach them about budgeting, and you only have so much money to spend, and you can't bid on everything in life. and things of that nature. So I'm just wondering what your thought is on, bringing this to younger kids to start off.
Yeah, no, thank you for all that, Jim. That's great what you do there, and I'm all for that. The younger you can get someone to realize that money can be managed, and while it's a middle, say using a 7th grader, middle school or 8th grader, yes, they're at home. Maybe obviously they're not paying any bills at home or expenses, but just drilling these concepts. We just had this question the other day. Hey, does this content work for high schools? 100%, absolutely. You just kind of tweak it for what they're dealing with right now, because they're still earning some money, even if it's allowance money for a 7th or 8th grader. Just teaching them, they're starting to dream. We dream at a young age, and so getting back to that, you integrate. While of course this is only an hour presentation, I can't drill down into everything when it comes to spending money, saving money, looking at debt, upcoming use of a credit card or a student loan. So you can weave those things in, real life things, you weave those in to this platform, how you see fit. But yeah, any young student, 7th, 8th grader, anything below that, to be very frank, is not there. It's going to be lost. And so 7th, 8th graders, definitely high school, they're starting to get into reality. You probably know, I certainly know there's some high school students who are absolutely in reality, some helping their own family with income, working hard. So these concepts still appeal to that younger demographic. So yeah, I would applaud you to keep doing what you're doing, but if you like what you heard today, integrating some of that into your programming too, because if you can get an 8th grader to start dreaming and getting them out, start getting their dreams out, they're going to be pretty. That's what enables action. Getting a dream out will then move them to take action on managing their money differently.
No, I appreciate that. It's funny you say that, because we do incorporate a couple of the steps that you actually brought up. For instance, step 2, we do take the time to talk about sub accounts, and the fact that credit unions, we don't charge you for these sub accounts, and you could have 100 sub accounts. And the beauty of it is you can go in and personally name them whatever you want. So you could have a general vacation one, or if you have a specific trip that you want to go on, you can name that. And we also talk about, the auto transfers. So when money comes in each week, it just automatically goes into the sub accounts. You don't have to worry about doing it. You don't have to touch it. And then the last slide that you had there about showing kids that, if you put in 150 and the compounding interest in that whole scenario, it's funny, you see their eyes pop out of their head when they actually see the number at the other end. And I said, it's really not that. When you're talking about $150 a month, you're talking about $35, $36 a week, whatever it works out to be. It's not a lot of money. And it's about budgeting. It's about, saying, I don't need, a couple of extra cups of coffee or whatever it is, to get to that money that you're setting aside. So no, it was interesting to watch your presentation, and as you went through it, to see a couple of things that we've already incorporated in what we're doing here as part of your presentation. So
great. Well, keep up the great work. It's I'm continuing to just shake my head at traditional financial education that's not working. So good for you.
thank you.
I think you're on.
Jim. Yep. Sorry, Jim. Yeah, thank you, Jim. And Todd, if you still have some time, we have a couple more questions that came in.
Absolutely.
Do you offer a teaching module for online learning that credit unions or that universities can use, like for a 1-credit course?
We have 2 courses, our flagship courses called Do Money Differently, that can certainly be, and we're incorporating that into colleges and universities. First year experience program is a hot one for first year students, where they learn how to manage their time, how to study, things like that. And so, but financial education is becoming a front burner piece of that first year experience program. So yes, we can absolutely incorporate our online course, Do Money Differently. And we're even creating custom courses that can even mention the credit union, in a non-commercial kind of way too. So yes, the answer.
Great, thanks. Yes, and Todd, all of Todd's contact information is on the the PowerPoint deck, which will be distributed, and anyone can reach out to me as well, and I can put you in touch with Todd anytime. Todd, another comment from one of our CEOs, a lot of workplaces don't do payroll deduction and have them do DD/ACH on their own, and it gets lost. We encourage anything we can get from their paycheck before they see it. Sub-accounts are great. We need to educate more on those. She also commented that she loved the Albert Einstein quote on compounding separates the rich from the broke. That is powerful. So just a comment. And also, Todd, lots of thank yous, appreciation for this session. Really enjoyed it, asking for your PowerPoint presentation. So I'm glad to see so many people engaged, and I knew they would enjoy what you were going to bring to us today. That's all for the questions. Todd, thank you so much for this session today. Like I said, I knew it was going to be great, and I'm glad so many people enjoyed it. Again, everyone who attended today's session, you will be receiving a copy of Todd's book, Young Money. Those will be mailed out in the next week or so. Also, the presentation deck and the recording of today's webinar will both be available, and I will be in touch to let you know as soon as those are accessible. And my last note is that next month, MSIC is going to be presenting a director financial training by Markham, and you'll be receiving more detailed information on that in the coming days. And that's it. So Todd, thank you again so much. We really appreciate this, and I'll make sure to get you in touch with the people who are asking for your information.
Great. Thank you, Erica, and thank you, everyone. Enjoyed it.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great day. Enjoy. See you soon.